4:30, we'll go ahead and get the work session up and going. Thanks everybody for being here and for coming out in March, which actually feels like spring today. So we've had all 4 seasons in the last 7 days, and everybody has displayed the suitness of what that does when you have all 4 seasons in the same day. But we'll go ahead and get the meeting called to order and get up and running. It's our first Monday meeting, so we'll see this Thursday how many people show up that didn't get the memo that we've moved to Mondays. So this will be our first time going with Mondays. That way we can get everything in the newspaper on the week of the meeting. So, and when we get to our regular meetings, our council will be able to be present with us at each and every meeting. So several reasons for making that change. As you can see on the agenda, we're going to go through the first item. I think is probably the one that confused everybody the most, but we'll talk about the road signs, go through, get some updates on our road department projects, parks and rec activities. We're getting ready to kick off spring sports. And then once we get down to the GIS mapping update, there's a chance that Lonnie's going to come up here and be the chairman for just a couple minutes, or he may direct me into how to click the buttons to go through that. So we'll see how that works. If I can be a good assistant, he may not have to come up here, but if he does, we'll just take his name on the front and put him up here.
You ought to seen his look when I told him he might get the beat there.
I know, he looked a little excited for the reason I'm trying to back off of that idea for a minute. So,
yeah.
We'll get everything up and going. I know that, like I said, the first item probably confused a couple of people when we put it on the agenda, and it came from a conversation with Commissioner Tatum early on about community signs throughout unincorporated Pickens County and trying to come up with how do we define how to put you're now entering X community. So we had hashed around the idea of could it potentially work around voting precincts, because we have a Leadville voting precinct, Hinton voting precinct, Hill City, as to where we would be able to identify the entrance into these different communities. So I'll let you dive in.
I just
got ideas.
got the idea from at the farmers market when we would tell people that our farm was in Leadville. No one knows where Leadville is, and people need to know that. You know, people don't know where Blaine or Hinton are, or Hill City. Most people know Hill City, but I just kind of realized that people don't know these little communities around the county, and they need to know them. So I'm just trying to figure out a way we could make signs that would tell people, well, welcome to wherever you are. So
right. And I think when we had freaked Stacy out by putting it in the agenda as voting precinct, she didn't know what we were talking about. And I was trying to explain, one of the parts of that is, where is the defining line of where does Hinton begin, where does it not? Now we know we can put a defining line on the Hinton voting precinct. So the sign could actually be, you're now entering Hinton voting precinct, Leadville voting precinct, and then if the lines ever change, we can move those signs to match that line. Was the idea behind adding for the unincorporated parts of the county. Obviously Jasper is Jasper, and Talking Rock's Talking Rock, and Nelson's Nelson, so we wouldn't try to interfere with the existing communities. Tate already has Tate unincorporated signs throughout where they've had those for many years. That was the thought, was utilizing voting precincts as the way that we could then create signs. But I wanted to put it on a work session agenda to kind of get you guys feedback. There's some that won't match, that it's not going to make as much sense. Yeah. Appalachian's not going to make as much sense as Leadville. I mean, Leadville, obviously, you can see it, but, and I'm trying to think of the others that Sharp Top voting precinct. Jerusalem, I mean, because you have the Jerusalem Community Center, I think that actually does kind of give you a good point, but there's a couple that may not be as clear, but we could still use the same line when we put it up.
Oddly enough, it's the one on my side of the county that are a little less defined for you.
Yeah, yours will be more.
They're a little more difficult.
Yours are way simpler.
You got the easy ones.
So.
I just want to thank Commissioner Tatum for letting us put signs up on the west end of the county.
But if you guys are good, if you feel it's appropriate, we can start working with Kurt and his crew and the sign crew is to get the signs defined, and then with Stacy's office after the election's over, because I know she's in the midst of a busy time right now, or after the primary. I'm not going to give you all the way till November, but get through the season where we've got that to try to come up with marking where they would go so that we could get those signs put together
Like I said, we might have to get with the state on some of that, you know, if you want to.
The ones that are on the
These
state
ones
highway.
that you bring where it really needs to be.
Yeah, the county road ones will be, we've got the authority, like Jerusalem Church Road, Hill City
Right.
Road, those kind of places, we can do it, but all the ones on the state highways work
Yeah,
on that.
no, I think it's definitely a good starting point, and then go from there, so, yeah.
But that was the idea behind it. It wasn't meant to look as confusing. It was kind of hard to figure how to not write a whole paragraph in the agenda to
Yeah.
explain what the thought process was. And it's done in quite a few communities. I went to
Mhm.
Union County the other day and driving through a couple of you saw it as you drove through the areas where you're entering different voting precincts.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that'll work.
Okay, well, we'll get to work on just trying to come up with what steps we need to take and how to get that up and going. It'd be nice probably before we do get to the November election, if we had them in place, people could have a little better understanding. At least that they're in the territory. It won't necessarily help them get to the building, but they'll all still go to the rec department.
just
Like the
confuse
early
people.
voting, they'll still show up at the rec center and want to vote there, but.
It'll just confuse people like me that live in Appalachian, that our voting building is not in our district, so. Just make it even more
you know,
confusing.
That's all right, we'll get that one up and going. Road department, I know, I'm gonna turn it over to Kirk. We've approved the bids at the last meeting that we had, so we're working on getting that process up and running, for the paving projects coming up. One good bit of news in the approved governor's amended 2024 budget, they took and allocated, and they're not gonna call it the exact same program, the LMIG program that funds the grants, which every county is eligible to apply for, and we've applied for and received it. It's about 680, I think. Somewhere right in the $680,000 that we received in LMIG grant funds for paving projects to go toward those projects. The governor in his budget basically doubled that amount so that the counties can be eligible to receive the same amount in addition to what we've already received for other paving projects. And they're not gonna require a match. So that did pass, the budget was signed in and approved. We won't have to put the 30% that we had to put in for the LMIG. We'll be able to receive it to use in totality, so we've got to come up with what project that amount of money will actually fund. And it's so late in the game, that's gonna be the interesting part, is going back out to bid again. Do we just receive the funds and then put it into the 25 bid process, or are we gonna be able to get that out into a bid portion? And we'll have to see what the DOT gives us in the regulations, but the state did approve it, so that was one of the things that was signed in last week, actually, when they signed in the amended budget. I'll let Kirk take over with any of the other projects.
Don't worry about it, I've got projects, I've got a list of projects already lined out for that money, so don't worry.
Say Kurt's got a bunch of new money, we need to talk.
Well, the problem is limiting the money to that $680,000, so we don't have to match more, so that's the.
We're winding up our contract from last year on our paving. They got paint and reflectors on Worley Crossroads, Cove Road, and I think Jerusalem. I haven't seen Jerusalem since they've been through, but that should finish up the contract for last year's paving. Hobson Road reopens today. We got slab poured and some curb, and maybe that'll hold up better for the next flood. We've got 6 driveways that are cut right now for repairs. While I've got the concrete guys in the neighborhood, they won't be doing some repairs on some of these driveways that's got concrete. Price Creek Road, we've got a lot of work going on out there. We put in a new cross drain. We've got a couple, 3 driveways out there that we're repairing, trying to change the way the water runs. This is on the dirt road section. Trying to change the way some of the water runs. It's just been a constant problem out there. Getting the poles moved on Buckhannon, that's kind of our first step on that project, trying to get the utilities out of the way. We had a good meeting out there last week with the homeowners, and we got the paperwork signed to get the poles moved, and I think that's going to be a good project, and we'll get on that as soon as we finish replacing the pipes on Damascus and getting it ready for tar and gravel or chip seal. Got both lawnmowers back up and running. One's been in the shop for the last couple of months. We got it back out on the road, and that's about it for me, other than just general maintenance. Y'all have any questions? Any projects coming up? Your move. It's
Thank
Because the
you
one here is
for the-
awful.
Thank you for the one I sent you this morning. I got a phone call from, the homeowner, said somebody came out and checked out the drain and was excited about the quick turnaround.
Which one was that?
Let me see if I can remember the road name. It was Richie Hancock that sent it this
Oh,
morning.
yeah, yeah, Roger went out with it as long as,
Long Branch Road.
yeah.
And I got a phone call from Old Burnt Mountain today, excited about the crews being up there, so today was a positive phone call day. So
I'll take it.
those are good. And I like getting them right before we have a public meeting, so I can say we received that positive phone call on the day of the public meeting.
Just wait.
And I think when you mentioned Hobson Road reopening, I think one of the things that the public may not be aware of is that is one of the roads that we're gonna try to put in for the state bridge project, so that the state may come in and actually build a true bridge instead of a culvert going through there. I think your crew did an amazing job getting that road reopened in a very timely manner, because it was washed out really bad, and I know there was some backlash from the public on some of the things that didn't understand what was being repaired. It was that wasn't structurally unsound, it was just trying to keep it from washing back in on the backwash side. But that is a project that's going into the state for a bridge they request us to put in for.
And we've not spent a whole lot of money on it. I mean, we probably spent $20,000 on that tops, where it really needs, a $300, $400, $600 million repair to fix it right, and we just don't have that right now.
Hang on. So he went if we have a bridge that needs a $600 million,
Can we talk about that?
The bridges down on Fairview, I mean, they were upwards of $1 million. I mean, that was a high dollar bridge that the state give us, and we appreciate it.
so if they're willing to do that again, this one's one that's been problems with washing out. I know we've been working on Hobson Drive,
Right.
where it goes and kind of cuts off that community if it floods through there, trying to get with engineers and get the plan in place as to the full process. And that one, the original estimate came up close to $700,000 that we're trying to look at. The engineering report is because it requires building a temporary road because you're going to cut off access to that whole subdivision. It was built without a second entrance and exit. When during that time was before the ordinance required that second way in and out.
Right.
So that's one that they're currently reviewing the numbers back and forth and trying to make a determination as to whether or not we apply for emergency LMIG funds to help fund that project or not. We should have better numbers before we get to our regular meeting in 2 weeks. So where if we are gonna have to apply, we can get that approval at that point to apply. That application process is way simpler than the original LMIG process. It's a letter showing the cost estimates and things of that nature. We're trying to make sure we've got we've been working with the engineers on this for 2 years. Waiting for some of these cost estimates. So we now have got some numbers. We're just trying to make sure it's the best plan. So, that one. Those are our two problem children areas. Every time that the heavy rain hits, it hits those two. And of course they would both be in the same area. So, any other road department projects? I know you guys have been hopping, so thank you. Maybe one day we'll get a good rain on a non-Friday.
I know, right?
So that
Back out
it's
Friday.
not where you have to get the crews all back out, so we'll hopefully be there in the near future. That hadn't happened in the 3 years I've been in office, but one day is coming, so. A good Monday rain. So, Parks and Rec, Brian's hiding in the back corner back there. I know spring sports getting ready to go, so.
Yep, so before I get to spring sports, we just got done with basketball. We sent a team in 7-8 boys and 7-8 girls, 9-10 boys and 9-10 girls, and 11-12 boys to All-Stars. Out of all those teams, we only had the 7-8 boys come out district champs. And with that, they were invited to play in the state tournament, which was in Greene County this past Saturday. Boys lost their first game on Friday night and then lost their second game on Saturday, but they were district champs for our Class C area. We have 435 kids playing basketball this year in all age groups. We had traditional basketball and everything except for 11 and 12 girls. Started a new pilot program. We're the only one in North Georgia that I'm aware of that plays 3v3 for 11, 12 girls. Historically, we've never had enough to make their own league in 11, 12 girls. And working in conjunction with the high school and actually using the high school's gym, we were able to get around 40-something girls signed up for 3v3. Very successful program, and I want to thank the high school for their help, especially for letting us host it there every Monday night from about the end of October all the way through January. So, but that went really well. Hoping to build on that again. Going into spring sports, we just got done registering and skills evaluation and draft for 640 kids, which is about 10 less than what we had last year. We had one team that went straight travel. But yeah, we'll be super duper busy for the remainder of this month going into April. For y'all's information, we'll have opening day on March the 23rd. So we're also working with the high school. They're going to allow us to have opening day on their turf field. So we'll have open day ceremonies there at 10 a.m. on the 23rd. And then from there, we'll come back to Roper for all of our games that day. And then we're off and running. So, but pretty much every single field's going to have some sort of practice or kids on them. So it's going to be busy. It's going to be busy. It already is busy.
Get with Graham and pre-record your announcement of all kids' names in the podcast.
Oh yeah, that's going to be
so you don't
tough.
have to sit up there and call them out live.
Yeah, so I'll have to call out all the kids' names on opening day. So you'll hear me and you'll hear my voice, and by the time I get to the babies at the end, they'll be like this right here. I'm just barely trying to make it through, man. I may let Cleghorn do the end one. That'd be a great one.
That would be good. That'd be good. I was playing ahead on that. Work with him. So. Yeah.
Still a little bit of time between now and then.
Yeah. May hand it off to Cleghorn.
Basketball's the one where you get away without having to call them out individually.
Correct, yeah. Basketball, we don't have a traditional opening day in basketball, but the baseball, the parents want to hear those little names called out, and it's a lot. It's a lot of kids. Because I had to do football too, and unfortunately they gave me, I had to do all the youth, all the middle school, and then all the varsity. And then Chief Prather was like, man, that's a lot of names. And by the end of it, you could just barely hear my voice. Yeah, just squeaking along there. So, yep.
All right. Questions, do you think?
My son's very excited to get started playing baseball.
So,
No, we're still working on getting all the numbers and information and everything together on some of the projects that we're looking at doing at Roper Park. So that's not gone away. It's still in process. We're trying to get all that piece together and trying to time it with working with the fire station and talking at the same time. So that's what's getting us to try to sync up the times and get quotes in real time, because those numbers won't hold for very long in today's construction market. So
So we're not gonna start grading at Roper next week?
not next week, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we were gonna go tear out all the restrooms and
You
everything.
think he has problems with the water bill? Try
Why'd you pull me into this?
my red parents. They would
We'd
be
kill ya.
absolutely going crazy.
That is good. No, but we are still getting all that information together. So we should, I would imagine, by April work session, May work session at the latest, be able to kind of give some real true updates on numbers, so that we can try to come up with the program of the stages for how we can get that done.
It's a good thing. Me and Tatum already have the first pickleball tournament. It's going to be against him, and the winner plays you.
That's right.
I don't know how you put me in the winner's bracket. I'm gonna have Dan Poole sit in my place. Dan and Kirsty Poole fill in for mine, and since I know they actually travel and play pickleball. Me looking, trying to figure out the racket for the first time, it might be entertaining just for the watch on that. I know we've got several with the county that are currently going through the leadership Pickens class, and they're working on a flyer right now. They're having a kickball tournament. The county is going to try to at least get 18. I know we're going to try to rely on Chief Prather to get some healthy fire people involved in that. But They haven't hit him up yet, so I just called him out.
Look, he's not gonna talk to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the reaction on his face when I said that I'm gonna use my powers of delegation in a major way in the kickball tournament, because I was the kid that didn't even get picked when I was a kid. I definitely don't even get picked at this point, so. But I know Ashley, Graham, and Kelsey, all three are going through that class, and that was their fundraising project, was to host this tournament to raise money for
Boys and Girls Club.
Boys and Girls Club.
I'm all about it. You got a date?
Yeah. It's, I can tell you.
See, in the fire world, you just picked up one of your commissioner/firemen.
That's cheap.
I mean, you got volunteers that'll jump all over this thing.
May 18th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that's a bracket system tournament.
They'll be at my place too.
Yeah,
Is that during the
it's in
week?
the rec department. Thank you.
If anybody wants some good entertainment, talk to Brian and let him show you the scheduling to try to schedule the practices and games for all of these 690 or 39 kids. He was showing me today the challenges that they're facing with getting all those spaced out. Having the lights on the fields helps a lot, but we've also got little kids that are 4, 5, 6, 7, and putting them out there at 9 o'clock at night is not necessarily going to be the easiest thing to do. So,
Not at all.
that was a challenge.
Yeah, all good.
Next, we did receive ACCG. There were 2 different tranches of money that came into the state for opioid settlements. It's part of the class action suit where they received, the state received a significant amount of funds. The first went out to some individual counties. The others are going to regions, which are requiring a delegate from each county within those regions to participate in coming to vote. We did have to send the initial response back for a voting delegate and send it just as myself as chairman to go. However, we do have time to change that, so I wanted to make sure that was put on the work session. I know it's not necessarily a voting item, but if you guys would feel more comfortable to have a different delegate, then I would not have my feelings hurt. March the 21st. March the 21st is the day of that meeting. It's at 10 o'clock over in Dawson County for our region. And it's so that we can make sure that we're participating in that process and that those funds get distributed. But as long as you guys have no problem, I will participate and go forward with it. But I didn't want to just send that over without discussing it with you.
You got it.
Correct, yeah.
I'm out of town that night. You got it.
Y'all are so kind. Thank you. The other is really just an announcement. ACCG annually does award back workman's comp refunds for any funds that were not used. So we did receive notification from ACCG that we'll be receiving a check for $56,422 as the return from workman's comp that will be coming back to the county. We'll get that reallocated back in to offset the workman's comp expenditures that go in, so that'll help, that credit will go back into that, so we will receive that check. I think they're scheduling a formal, what they call it on the thing, a big check presentation upon request, so that way they can kind of get the word out, but that those funds should be on their way back to the county now, which will be anytime you're here and you're getting a refund is a great thing. One item that we didn't have on the agenda tonight, it really isn't anything we have to take action on, but it's a reminder that on March 11th next week at the Planning Commission, they will hear the updates for the amending of the public hearing will be held for the amending of the zoning ordinance. I know we discussed it in our last work session. But since that is dealing with zoning, it has to go before the Planning Commission under the current ordinance, so they will have that hearing at their regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting on the 11th, so that'll be taking place at it. Next item on the agenda is to have our land use classification and rezone information. We've got Ashley here on behalf of the Planning and Zoning Office to go through those tonight. So we'll let you take over.
Okay, so this one, there was only one thing that was going up for approval, and it is RZ 190621. Property owner is Jasper Property Ventures LLC, and they are proposing development called Hidden Falls Estates. It is going to be proposed to be located off of Mockingbird Lane, which is right off of Highway 53. The parcel numbers are 041-143 and 041-143-001. It is about 100 acres between two adjoining properties. They're about 50 acres each, and they're proposing to go from ag to rural residential. And their intent is to create a gated subdivision with 20 to 30 upscale vacation homes on 2 to 3 acre lots with amenities. And then that's an example that they gave to us of what they want the homes to look like. I know that they said that they will be on the low end $2 million homes and on the high end $5 billion homes. And then that's a teeny tiny list, but that's some of the amenities they propose, like hiking trails, clubhouses, basketball courts, dog parks, hot tubs, pools, and the list goes on. That's an example of what they have drawn up to scale on the two lots, and it's a 29 total residential lots, and then the bottom right lot is kind of like a green space lot that's gonna have the clubhouse amenities on it. And then this is the zoning and location map. The orange arrow indicates where Mockingbird comes in off of Highway 53, and then the yellow arrow indicates where county maintenance stops. So from the top to the yellow arrow is county maintained, and it's a 40-foot right of way. And then from the corner on, it is a easement. And then that's the two surveys that we pulled just to show those two accesses. And it just reiterates the 40-foot right of way and the 40-foot easement. So you can kind of see it. It's blue highlighted on the right-hand side that runs down where the county maintenance is. And then it goes through the Ray property at the bottom and shoots down to finally go into that 041143 for where it's actually, that easement leads into that property that they're proposing to do the development.
I'm gonna go back. if
Yeah,
you
that's
don't mind, because I know, so where you're showing the easement is where your yellow arrow
Yeah,
goes.
it
And that
starts-
easement ends into the parcel of property that's not one of these two, it's a separate parcel.
Correct, so, it's easier just to show, so the county maintenance ends right here, and then that easement runs across and actually shoots down, so the easement accesses the top of this property, but it is all private property through there, just for that 40-foot easement that runs through.
Okay. Okay. One additional question, and I hate to bombard you, but just while we've got it, in our ordinances, if I'm not mistaken, it says that no subdivision can be built off of an easement,
And I've
correct?
got the ordinance quote on
Okay.
the next page. too.
Okay, that's about it, go on.
That's okay.
Sorry.
So the staff, after we, well, not me personally, but Bethany visited the site, I have written out there. After taking a look at the site and the proposal, the staff recommended denial for the rezone request per that ordinance 38-181, which basically says that a subdivision can't be constructed, a minor or a major, off of an easement road. It says it has to come off of a state, federal highway, or a county maintained road. And then when it went before the planning commission voted 6-0 to accept the recommendation of the staff, which was to deny the rezone request based on the ordinance that states that it can't come off of an easement.
And this one's scheduled to come before us in 2 weeks, assuming that it remains on the roster, but that's any questions that you guys have that may not have been addressed?
I don't think so.
We've all had access to the meeting as well, so,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is where we get to let Chairman Waters. No, I think I'm gonna actually try to manage it initial, but if I screw up, he's probably gonna kick me off. As you know, we actually started this process a year and a half ago.
November was a year.
Okay. On setting up our GIS system, the original estimate, which I was giving Lonnie a hard time about, was 3 to 5 years to get GIS mapping completely in place. And I told him I wanted it faster, and I didn't really think he took me seriously, but he did. So today, we've got access to go through and see the demo on what all is in place here. And Lonnie, if you want to come on up, I'll try to drive what you tell me to drive.
Okay, if you want to remove the list.
Yeah.
This map here, if you want to zoom in a little closer, We have actually went out and mapped all the water lines. Every water line, the sizes change by color. So like, there's some 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, throughout the county. And you can, whenever you're pulling this up, looking at it, you got the color code there. But it's been estimated in the county to be 150, 175 miles of water line. Well, we totaled it up by using this program, and there's actually 225.59 miles of water line in Pickens County. Now, that's not including any service lines, that's just mains. So we've got this done, we're adding to it as Philip and them has projects and developments and things that they run. So we'll go to, Chairman, if you can pull up the meters.
You want me to leave the lines active?
No, you can take those out.
Okay.
It'll get too cluttered. Okay. Every one of these blue boxes here are water meters throughout the county. As of today, we lack maybe between 50 and 100 meters, having every one of them located. Philip has been very gracious of getting Richard here in an orange shirt. He has been remarkable. The reason I went from 3 to 5 years down to a year, because we didn't get the program till last February of last year. So we've actually been working on it 1 year. He is remarkable in finding these meters and doing such a job. And I told him today, I said, you made me look good and I appreciate it. So he's done a remarkable job. But as of right now, there's 3,667 meters on this program. And we probably like another 150 at the most. But it's going to, as you pull up, zoom into it, and it shows you the roads, it brings it out, and it actually shows you exactly, if you bring it out too much, it'll end up making it out of proportion. But what this does is, if we have a new employee and they go out to Fitz Road to an address and to check a meter, double check the reading on a meter or something, they can pull this up and it will give you everything we've checked has been within 2 foot or less of the actual location. I mean, some of them are exact, but some of them's within 2, maybe 3 foot. But if you can get that close to it, you can find it. So this here is going to help the department in a lot of ways. Some of those meters haven't been touched in over 5 years. There was that much sedimentation, weeds growed up over it, juniper bushes for flower beds, and this will take you right to the location where it's at. Okay, we do the water storage tanks.
Using that.
Yes. Okay, this is all the water tanks, and it gives the coordinates as to where they're at, how they tone, and everything about it as far as where they're at, the size of them. And if you would like, go to the fire stations. I know Chief Prather and some of us interested in this part of it.
Fire hydrants on there too? Fire hydrants.
Yeah.
Fire hydrants, we'll click on that in just a minute. Fire stations,
Under utilities, fire station?
yeah, click on that and see, yes. All right, that shows you wherever fire station's at, and throughout the county. You can click on it, and it'll bring up you know, which road it's on, what firehouse number it is, and that. But if you leave those firehouses on there, Chairman, and go to, the stations,
The 5 mile ISO.
the 5 mile, yes. Okay, every one of those pinpoints is the 5 mile mark from a fire station. Now, we also have it, there's another category, yes, that's okay, each firehouse is got a different color line, and if you click up every one of them and bring them all up, it will show you the ISO area that they wanted to look at, and it'll show you just how good the county is covered. I mean, if we take time to click on, let's see, going down.
Is it in the drop down here?
Yeah, maybe. This is a new link, and we are 100% with it. Yeah, go to that. There you go.
There it is.
If you click on all these, see, there's the actual road for 5 miles. And the little dots, little green dots, is the 5 mile limitation. I hope that's what you was wanting, Tim.
5 road miles is what.
Yes, it's every bit as far. We went to every fire station and drove every road around that fire station for 5 miles. And then we pinned it, that's what the little green dots are. But we're hoping that that's will satisfy that. So if it's not, we'll correct it. Okay, if you want to exit out of those. You got, scroll back down.
They got roads.
Yeah. Scroll back down a little more. Pump houses, up there at the top. Every pump house in the county, it goes from over here at Pearl Johnson Road in Gordon County.
I'll turn off the fire station. I didn't realize I left that one. Sorry.
This little yellow dot is where all the pump stations are on the different roads. And if you scan it back out, you can see there's several throughout the county. So when we got, for Kurt, he wanted us to do the roads. And we've started doing the bridges, like click on gravel roads, right here, up here, right, yeah, right there. That's starting points for gravel roads, and we have the measurements and everything put into the computer now, and it'll tell you how many miles of gravel roads there are in the county.
How many miles of gravel road do we have in the county?
It will tell you that. I have not pulled this up yet and got a determination of it. But we just started one.
Sorry. I took it to go to tell us a whole lot more about the layer there. There we go.
We've just started one right above where you're at in the roads at Leaks for 2024. Philip had told me that y'all were curious about this. We don't have many because we just started this program, but every time there's a leak, we're going out and putting a pinpoint there, a GPS pinpoint, and this will give you a record of how many leaks is in each community or each road at the time for that year. Hoping that will help the commissioners and everybody determine where we need to upgrade systems or do something different.
I like how you put a red star as if it's a good thing, where we have the leaks.
Yeah.
Make it stand
To
out.
be clear,
Yeah.
those are repaired leaks, right?
Repaired leaks.
Not currently leaking.
They are repaired leaks,
Allegedly.
but
You're not the guy we want to hear say that.
But, that's a quick overview of it. We do have the leak now. The commissioners are looking over it, playing with the program and trying to figure out what they want to do with it and where the leak will land at other departments or whatever. This week, we are going to, 3 of us are going to have a Zoom meeting with the company, and we are going to get outs on our phones for the guys in the field. And we're going to get up, the phones that's been distributed with this out. So there's several things that's happening good with this.
Chief, that's the hydrants there. I
I
just
say, I
clicked
hope
it.
that's fire hydrants.
Yeah, that's fire hydrants there.
And I'd really like to say, whenever we had our first meeting in here in December, and Chris asked me how long it was gonna take, I was very serious between 3 to 5 years. But the county had already started doing a lot of things that need to be done. Christie helped me with these fire hydrants. She just took over and helped me with that. I appreciate that. Richard here, like I said, he's been remarkable on these meters and water lines. Larry from Kurt's department helped me on the roads. And the girls in Philip's office, they just, they don't ever complain when I give them a call and say, I need this, I need that. They just give me an answer and we hang up and go to the next thing. So the county was already headed in the right direction, and I can compliment you for that. But y'all give me good help to make this happen in 12 months. And there's still some more to be done, but we're real close to being completed, unless you come up with something different.
Stacy's gonna want the voting.
Yeah, she does.
She done cornered me about that.
So, but just to touch on what Lonnie was talking about, him saying he had 100 or 150 more, he got the list for these meters back in August.
First day of August.
First day of August. And in total, and I know we're in February, but in total, they have worked 50 days getting 3,700 meters GPS, try to find them. But that's not counting the ones that we set after that list went out. So that 100 or so that he's got to go back and find is new ones that have set since August. And so once he get those, we'll be just doing nothing but updating every time we put a meter in. So, but them two right there, they work 10 hours a day, and we figured it up earlier, it was like 75 meters a day. That may not sound like a lot, but when you're physically getting out on every meter box and verifying the meter number, or even looking for it, that's a pretty good feat. They outdid themselves. So thank y'all for letting me do this.
So these, city, county, and state roads are all delineated in here too?
Yes.
Do we have one for private roads?
I do not have private roads yet, but it can be put in.
That would be helpful.
I mean,
So I hate for more work.
this, like, I've said
Yeah, we're
this,
back to 3 to 5 years.
as long as you keep giving me
Well,
good help,
it's
like Richard
defining
here.
private roads too, though, because private drives can count as private roads, so we're gonna have to come up with, is it three houses or more on there, so that it moves outside of the driveways to the actual private roads that have been named private roads. So
Well, I don't know that there's a limit on this, I've never heard that there was a limit of what it could do. But, with the proper help and the guidance that I've been getting, and the county giving me the tools I needed to work with, it's been really a lot easier than I ever expected.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's
Good
amazing.
stuff.
very good. Thank you, Lonnie.
Thank you, Lonnie.
Yes.
Richard.
All right, any questions mapping layers, all the fun. It's actually pretty fascinating to start
It
looking
is.
through and looking. I mean, you can pull up on the parcels and actually see zoning and everything that's in place from it as well. So you can use the layers for a whole lot more than just the utilities part. But and that should help Chief as ISO comes back in for their re-inspect. The more quality we have on these layers and hydrants and the water lines and everything else, the better it'll help with those inspections. That is the last I had on the agenda. Do you have anything under general discussion that you want to bring up?
I was gonna say, since we haven't had a meeting since then, congratulations to the Dragons and Dragonettes on both making the Sweet 16. So that was quite impressive for both of them to do it this season.
It definitely is.
Or real, captured by NASA's Mars rovers directly from the surface of the
Must have cheap format.
You got to put your aluminum foil hat back on. So, get through.
I'm just happy to be here.
Well, we will go ahead and adjourn the work session. 2 weeks from now, we'll have our regular meeting, and it'll be on the third Monday of the month in here at 5:30. So
March 18th.
18th, yeah, March the 18th. But outside of that, thank you all for coming. Appreciate all your help very, very much.